final presentation is Team Aristotle.
Thank you, Board of Directors of Cineplex, for inviting us to deal with this crisis as it's been presented to us. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Stuart Patillo, with my colleagues Savas Pilarinos, Nicola Vyukov, and Simon Brown. And we are Aristotle Advisory Group. We're here to talk about not only the changing landscape of the cinema industry in general, but also the crisis that we've been faced with today, and how we're going to mitigate this. So we want to talk about lights, camera, and reaction. Basically, the situation is that Netflix, the American-based online provider of video content, has come up with a deal with 3 major Hollywood studios, Universal, Sony, and Paramount, to provide content directly online at the same date as theater premieres. This is a huge issue and probably to date one of the biggest threats we face in the traditional theater business. We want to make sure that we're dealing with this crisis not only on a short-term, mid-term, but also on a long-term basis as we move forward. You as a company, Cineplex, has already identified the changing landscape in the theater business and the need to go online, the need to appeal more to your guests and provide more as an entertainment destination. And now this crisis simply speeds up the fact and the reaction that we have to have. So let's talk about our situation and our current position. Basically, we're offering in our physical theaters 2 very specific things that is different from anyone else. Our technology offers, we're almost over 50% of all of our projectors into digital projection. We've got 3D offerings in basically all of our cinemas across the country. We have IMAX and AVX technologies as well, which are extremely important and unrivaled in the Canadian market. And then you have the experience offer, which you've worked so hard on developing through the VIP lounge, the arcade gaming, and then also let's not forget the traditional difference. You truly are the silver screen, the thing that's different, not the home movie, but the movies. So what we want to think about here is, are we providing something that's truly competitive against Netflix? And we came to the conclusion that absolutely you are. So this put us on the first thing about dealing with this crisis, is price something we need to deal with? And we came to the conclusion that no, we don't need to reduce our price. It's a short-term reaction, and it's hard to return to that price level. We're providing something different than Netflix. We're providing the entertainment destination. So we need to keep that. And you need to keep in your memory that you just simply cannot duplicate a night out at the movies. I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Nicola Vyukov, who's going to walk you through some of the short-term reactions.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Before moving forward, we'd like to expose the competitive landscape. We made a little graph here. On the horizontal axis, we have the experience. So is it an in-house experience or out-of-house experience? On the vertical axis, we have price. So where are they standing? Here, we're going to look at 2 competitors, Cineplex and Netflix. Cineplex is placed between the premium entertainment quadrant and the affordable escapism quadrant. What this means is they are diversified. They offer normal products, such as the regular exhibitions that they have, but also they offer premium products like 3D and AVX. On the other hand, Netflix is only covering the in-house market. And so this is a key point for the future, for the analysis going forward. We looked at some portal forces here. The first one is buying power. The revenue of Netflix is $2 billion. Your revenue as Cineplex in the box office department is $600 million, but you are not alone. This problem is affecting every single movie theater company. Combined, that's $10.5 billion of box office revenue that's being threatened. So what we have to look at here is who has the power. On the other hand, you have the supplier power. It's a very concentrated industry. The suppliers are not too numerous. We have 3 suppliers that occupy 44% of that market. So they also have bargaining power, so we have to really be careful as to how we're going to approach this problem. Lastly, we're going to look at the financial snapshot. So what's the financial ecosystem? We can clearly see that Cineplex currently has the lowest leverage ratio as calculated for the common metric used in this industry, which is debt to EBITDA. The industry, on the other hand, has 3.8 times the leverage ratio. So there is room to maneuver. Why is this important? Investors know this threat. We pay dividends, and they want to feel secure. In case there's a short-term cash flow shock, we have space to raise more debt, just maintain that cash flow, the dividend payment in the short term. So we have a cushion and room to maneuver in case this crisis affects us in the short term. Since we have no precedent as to any event similar to this in the past, we cannot evaluate the consequences. So it's always good to have this cushion. So now we're going to move on to our immediate actions. We have the crisis management specialist, Mr. Brown, who's going to take it from here.
Thank you very much, Nick. So I'd like to talk firstly about some of the short-term immediate actions we need to take in order to address this issue. Firstly, as Nick mentioned, there's an immense amount of bargaining power amongst the movie theater industry, the exhibitor industry in North America. However, in order to harness that collective buying power, we need to form a consortium. That consortium will be able to exert influence over the movie studios and be able to negotiate more reasonable prices and terms. So therefore, we propose that Cineplex, together with some of the major players in the industry, AMC and Empire being some of them, form a consortium within the constraints, within regulatory constraints, and ensuring that they can lobby the movie industry to negotiate better terms. Secondly, renegotiating with the other studios. So Netflix have exclusive access to 48% of the content, the new content coming out there. However, there's still 52% that hasn't been taken. We want to get there first and ensure that we either avoid that window being closed, or if the window is going to be closed for on-demand content, then we can offer that through our digital downloads and look into streaming services. Finally, advertising. Yes, the entertainment experience is the differentiator here, but we need to make sure that the customers remember that. There's the 3D, IMAX, VIP, and all the other ancillary benefits that we offer as end-to-end customer experience when visiting the movie theater, which you just do not get watching a movie on your computer or on your TV screen at home. That needs to be coupled with relevant releases. So, for example, there's the new Happy Feet movie coming out, which is a great example to promote the 3D capabilities of cinemas. In the medium term, we need to look at renegotiating some of the studio terms with the suppliers the studios that have made terms with Netflix. Yes, we believe that a vast majority of that revenue can be defended through the differentiated experience that movie theaters offer. However, it is no longer exclusive access, and therefore the terms should be different. We should be able to reduce the royalties, which are between 51 and 53% at the moment, to a lower rate. And finally, we'll come back to the plan we presented to you earlier this morning, our initial plan. We believe this is still relevant. In fact, we believe it's even more relevant. It was taking into consideration the threats that were out there in the marketplace. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Salas, who will tell you why it's still relevant.
Thank you, Simon. As Simon was just describing, this plan is even more relevant right now. We had laid out a long-term strategy with the thought in mind that the movie business was going to change and be subject to events like this one that we are facing right now. Cineplex has some great strengths. You have actually used a lot of these strengths and capitalized on these opportunities by offering more products, new ideas, new events, new ways to draw people to the theater, new ways to generate revenue outside the theater. However, the one thing that's missing is communicating this to your clients. We don't think that the customers know enough about these great features and these great offerings. Therefore, we've come up with an integrated marketing strategy, a fourfold marketing strategy, in order to really expose these great strengths. These four sections are, first, increase advertising. We talked about pumping more resources into advertising and letting people know why it's fun to come to the movies, what else you can do at a theater, and what else we offer online and everywhere else. Secondly, and this one's a very important one, acquiring a media agency. This goes in line with diversification. You want to be able to rely on other sources of revenue, not just the theater. A media agency is going to allow you to actually have access to other distribution channels, be an advertising provider, given that you have that national span, and you can also use it to achieve synergies with your own advertising strategy. Thirdly, you want to explore partnership opportunities. What we mean by this is that you can use your strengths to find another partner who may be able to come in and mitigate some of the weaknesses or some of the things that you don't know too much about. For example, you're part of a consortium regarding the ultraviolet technology that's coming out. One of the members of this consortium is Rogers. Rogers is in mobile, television, at-home entertainment, internet, everywhere. They could be a great partner in terms of getting together with them and exploring how you can use the strengths of both companies to go after some more market share. Fourthly, we have some quick wins or little initiatives that you actually put in place going forward. For example, 9,000 of your 10,000 employees are part-timers. You need to find a way to motivate these people and keep motivating them. They're your first point of contact with your customers. Netflix has a computer screen. You actually have human beings. So by motivating them, for example, offering a bursary program, because many of them are students, given that they're working part-time, you can actually give them one more reason to work hard at Cineplex, and they can actually help promote you as an employer of choice. Another example of some of these quick wins that you could put in place is new initiatives that you've already been putting in place, but we have a few more ideas. You can go into a partnership with a big name like Cirque du Soleil and offer exclusive viewing of some of their shows at your theaters, drawing in another demographic. Examples like this, be creative, test things out. You actually have the capacity at non-peak hours to actually test these little experiences out and see how customers react to them. Now, we just talked about how these are good for the long term and good for the overall vision. But I want to relay how these 4 initiatives actually are great to deal with this crisis. And just like my colleague Simon just said, it's great that we had them planned anyways. Increasing advertising is going to allow you to create higher awareness for this unique entertainment experience. Many people don't know enough about this unique experience, so why not propagate it? Acquiring a media agency and exploring partnerships is going to allow you to diversify revenue stream, relying less on box office revenue, which is 60% of your revenue. Also, exploring partnerships, you want to provide entertainment anywhere. Well, exploring partnerships like the one with Rogers will give you access to that, bringing your content and your reputation as an entertainment provider to every possible channel. And finally, some of the quick wins that we've suggested are great for operational costs. For example, your website. There's a lot of content on your website. However, there are efficiencies and things we can do to improve it. We actually tested it out, and it took over 10 clicks to purchase a movie ticket. We think there's something we can do about this to make it more efficient. Looking in the long term, now beyond this strategy, what do we do about price? We want to remain flexible with regards to our pricing strategy. This means that it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to lower our price to compete with somebody like Netflix, but we want to maybe repackage how our pricing works, offer different packages to different demographics. Entertainment, and here's the important point, it's not entertainment only anywhere, but entertainment everywhere. We could expand on the internet. Netflix cannot build 130 movie theaters in Canada and come after that part of our business, so we hold that advantage. Finally, differentiation through a partnership like Rogers. Create a unified user experience. So your product, the quality of your product, the look of your product, and the user friendliness of your product with the resources that a partner like Rogers could provide you with. Before we end, we would like to leave you on this thought. Your industry has been faced with these type of challenges before. Through innovation and through adjustment, it survived. And through innovation and adjustment this time around, it will not only survive, but thrive. Thank you very much. We welcome your questions.
Team Aristotle, that was an excellent presentation. I thought it was terrific. You had some really good insights as you presented our way forward, and thank you for that. Just with regards to the team itself, I'm struck by the fact that there's no diversification, no women on your team. Could you speak to that?
Actually, I'm a big fan of the Twilight movies. So I don't know if that, and, which is coming out next weekend, and it's a big part of the business.
And luckily, it's Summit who produced it, so you guys you're not affected by this. It's your biggest box office hit. Supposed to be.
Quick comment. Any thoughts? Our phone's been ringing off the hook from shareholders. Our stock's down. significantly in overnight trading. Any thoughts about how we calm the marketplace?
Yeah, so it's a normal reaction. It takes time to understand the impact that this crisis is going to have. But so long as you show a proactive and not a kind of reactive stance on this, you'll be able to mitigate some of these fears that really drive the stock market.
If I may add on, I think it's a question of acting quickly, acting transparently, and making sure that they're aware that we're taking immediate steps to address the issue.
I thought that was an excellent presentation as well. And what I want to ask you is, what thoughts have you given to the loyalty programs that are available and how they could enhance our current position in light of this threat?
Well, Cineplex has had tremendous success to date with the Scene program with Scotiabank, and that partnership needs to keep growing. And as we build the online business, the Scene cards can become integrated within the downloading and streaming and all the material that will be available online as a quick payment method, points available and rewards for doing so. Also, increasing online ticket sales, we can use the Scene incentives to incentivize buyers to purchase their tickets online. Instead of discounting the tickets, we can provide more point incentives.
Now, if I understand the tenor of your presentation, it's that we're not trying to compete with Netflix, right? We're trying to enhance what we currently have and to make it more aware to the public. Is that?
I think we identify the fact that Netflix is a key competitor in the entertainment space, as Cineplex doesn't just compete against other exhibitors, but people's entertainment time and allocation. And Netflix is a threat to that, no doubt. But we need to leverage, Cineplex needs to leverage the existing facilities and brand name and everything that they've been doing so successfully in the physical theater space to offset any sort of threats. And like we said in the presentation, you know, Netflix can't come and build 130 theaters in Canada, but we can go into the internet. So we want to leverage our physical assets and our current operations in order to grow that market share online.
I had another question. You talked about partnerships, and the only partnership actually you talked about was Rogers, and they already are partners, so we're already working with Rogers. Do you have any other ones you would be thinking we should be looking at partnerships with?
One of the reasons why we thought of Rogers was because they were part of the Ultraviolet Consortium. There's a few other, there's many other actually firms that are part of that consortium. We really want to look at the telecom industry, then if it doesn't work with Rogers or the initial discussions are not there, then maybe we could look at another telecom provider. What's great about that industry is that you have the cable, mobile, internet scope.
And I think that existing relationship with Rogers can be leveraged to actually get into people's homes and get onto people's mobiles and deliver that content. And secondly, we did look at some other members in the consortium in terms of other strategic partnerships. In particular, we looked at electronics manufacturers, so people like Sony and Panasonic who are also part of the Ultraviolet Alliance. And we thought that perhaps that could be used to deliver an integrated television set with access to Cineplex movies built in it.
Okay, so the challenge I have with Rogers is that Rogers could do to us the same thing that Netflix is doing with us. So, because they basically have everything other than the connections right now with the contract of the movie studio. So,
there's certainly, competition in the same space between Rogers and that is a threat, but moving forward, there's tons of partnerships that we can leverage and spaces that we don't operate in that they do and vice versa. So if we keep that relationship strong and we grow together, then hopefully trust will prevail.
Thank you.
I hope it's on this time. Cineplex already does a very good job with the in-house theater experience, and I just wonder whether enhancing the experience takes you that much further along. You have a technological change within the industry that's embodied in, you know, Netflix and so on. If you look at a company like Kodak that struggled, you know, with the transition to digital, do you want to comment on the relative importance in your overall strategy of improving the existing experience versus competing with Netflix on its own turf?
Well, the advantage that the technology advancements are giving are that it falls in line with this idea that you cannot, it's very hard to replicate that experience at the movies. Yes, you could stay at home and download it for free or download it with Netflix right now, but that big screen, digital, big sound, all those features, unless you build your own movie theater at home, would be very, very hard to replicate. So I think emphasizing those, promoting those features, and you are correct, there will be eventually a limit to what you can keep adding, and once you've hit that plateau, that's when innovation comes around again, and you want to generate new ideas as to how to enhance the experience, or at least just make it different and offer people something different.
My premise is that this is a big shock to Cineplex. The profit will be deeply impacted. We'll have a share price tanking, so to speak. Your ideas, I think, are well-founded, but they're logical extensions of what it is that we have already done at Cineplex. And I think it's very sensible. But my question is it enough? And with regards to is it enough, did you think of any radical solutions, albeit they may not be able to be implemented in the shorter term, but out-of-the-box thinking from a longer-term perspective?
We did consider completely removing the prices from some of the movies, so making the movies free or $1 entry, knowing that the margins could be made up on some of the concessions, and also by the additional footfall coming in and increasing the concession volumes as well. So we did consider that, but we felt that the unique experience is still defendable because, yes, Netflix is able to offer that download, the streaming of the movies directly now. However, that's still available. People can illegally download those movies now, yet they still come to the movie theater. It's just making something that's illegal, and we do believe that's defensible.
It's leveraging the core successes of the business and moving forward, not making any drastic changes in haste in the face of a threat that we see like this. Cineplex has had such great success to date, continuing to build on past successes, and so we see that as the best way to move forward in the face of this crisis.